Welcome back to the news at 10. Let's cross over to Abuja. Here's Terry Ikumi. Hi, Terry.
Hello, Ijoma. Nice to see you. Now let's go to politics. The United Progressives Party, UPP, has adopted President Muhammadu Buhari as its candidate in the 2019 presidential election. The party's chairman, Chekwas Okorie, gave this indication after a visit to President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House, Abuja. Mr. Okorie said this stand will be confirmed when the UPP meets on Tuesday. Our correspondent Ibrahim Adra reports.
The UPP leadership is the third group to have audience with President Buhari Friday. For the UPP national chairman, the stand of the party is hinged on the decision not to field a presidential candidate in the February 2019 election.
It will be recalled that the UPP in August this year took a decision by the National Executive Committee that we will not present a presidential candidate for the 2019 election. And we therefore resolved, after due consultations and consideration of every factor, to adopt President Muhammadu Buhari.
Mr. Okorie denies that Igbos have thrown their weight behind the PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar.
There was nowhere we met and agreed on the event that took place 2 days ago. And good thing, by some intervention, Haneze has issued a statement to say they did not, as a body, endorse Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, because that wouldn't happen. Haneze is a non-partisan Igbo organization.
Meanwhile, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, has been speaking on the party's preparations and campaign strategies. He spoke shortly after meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari.
Two sets of messages. One on what we've done over the past 3 years, without really to remember people what we were before those 3 years, and what we are going to do over the next 4 years, and the ones where a couple of things that we believe we'll be able to do differently, and why we are a better choice, why Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, any day, compared to the rest of the aspirants, there is no basis to compare day and night.
The chairman, who insists integrity and character will play key roles in the campaigns, reacts to the insinuation of crisis in his party.
The problem is, I sometimes, to be honest, I get a bit uncomfortable. I don't want to say irritated when people speak to issues or crisis in APC. Do I look like a man buffeted by crisis? First, as we speak, we have a president and a vice president who are at harmony with themselves and with their various parts of the country. That the Southwest is proud and all the governors in the Southwest are proud that Professor Yemi Osibajo, SAN, is running mate. The city vice is running mate to President Muhammadu Buhari as our candidate. It's not a doubt. But it is also no secret that the running mate to PDP candidate, his own base is disputing his suitability for that position.
The Independent National Electoral Commission fixed the 18th of November as the day political parties could begin campaigns. From the presidential villa, Ibrahim Adra, reporting for Channels Television News.
Still talking politics, the Ogun State chapter of the Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN, says it has not fielded candidates for the governorship and National Assembly elections in the state in the 2019 general election. At a press briefing in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, the party says it will, however, take part in the State House of Assembly election in order to give good representation to the people at the grassroots. The party has also announced the adoption of the governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, Mr. Rotimi Kpasheda, as its candidate for the 2019 governorship election in that state. Mr. Kpasheda was the governorship candidate of the UPN in 2015 before his defection to the Social Democratic Party. The UPN also explained that it has not collapsed its structure into the SDP in the state, as the party remains intact and united. Well, that's it from Abuja. It's back to you, Ijoma, in Lagos.
Terry. The Benue State House of Assembly has resumed plenary at the State Assembly complex about 5 months after it was shut. The resumption follows the order by the State Chief Judge granting access to the 22 People's Democratic Party lawmakers who were shut out of the Assembly in July 2018. 8 out of the 30 Assembly lawmakers from the All Progressives Congress had secured a court order restraining the 22 PDP lawmakers from sitting at the Assembly complex and suspending 15 of them for alleged illegal impeachment of the former Speaker, Mr. Terkimbi Ikyange.
We're extremely happy. This is the first outing since that judgment was given. And you recall that in passing that judgment, the Chief Judge of Benue State made it clear that ab initio the court was misinformed. And it goes to prove that what they did ab initio was illegal. And he did say in his judgment that the judiciary has no powers, and I quote him, to interfere in the activities of another arm of government to that extent. And so it meant that those young men who took the entire of 22 members out of a 30-member assembly acted out of ignorance. What the governor did announce was not that we're just granting that permission. It is not today. So he was only reviewing activities of how he intends to carry out and execute this in case the loan is given to government.
Efforts to transform Lagos into a true megacity seems to have received a boost through the Channel Echo network launched by JC Doku Grace Lake. JC Doku Grace Lake, the Nigerian subsidiary of JC Doku, a leading global outdoor advertising and public service company, has introduced Latin Channel Echo tools for advertising to decongest traffic as well as automatic public toilets.
All of these things are working together to...
In this crowd, advertisers and owners of companies are here to find out what JC Doku, which prides itself on being more than an advertising company, has to offer in collaboration with Grace Lake partners.
If a city isn't smart, then its value, its international investment, its local investment is less. So the smarter a city is, the better its connectivity. And JC Doku, with its integration of smart devices, enables those to be camouflaged. You don't want to see mobile phone aerials bolted on the top of every building.
One of these smart systems is the Lagos Traffic Information System, Lattice.
We have sensors that we've already installed across Lagos that collects the data. So essentially, at strategic driving decision points, we can inform commuters what is the best route for them to take in order for them to get to their destination.
The company says there's always something Channel Echo has to offer with or without heavy traffic by combining information from the Lattice database and demographic and lifestyle research to gain consumer insights.
We have rich consumer insights, which allows you as a marketer to serve the right advert to the right person at the right time. You can have 3 different ad copies for different weather attributes, whether it is a sunny, cloudy or rainy day. And this is at no additional cost to our clients.
When you reach that point, do you go left or do you go right? Our screen will be strategically positioned there to give you the information. If you go left, it will take you this amount of time. If you go right, it will take you this amount of time. So therefore, that's how we will help you physically on the streets. But in the second phase, we will be deploying an app.
JC Doku has also provided several automatic self-cleaning toilets and bus shelters across the metropolis and is maintaining its structures with local manpower.
Technology-driven primary production agribusiness is set to receive a major boost as the Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing Agriculture Lending NISROL rolls out its Farm Smart project in Edo State. The initiative is aimed at harnessing the efforts of smallholder farmers through due cooperatives by providing the platform for applying modern technology and facilitating funding, training and coordination to help farmers.
Thank you. Oshiomhole Industrial Park, Ologbo, Benin City, Bobaha Local Government Area, Edo State, venue of the official launch of Farm Smart project by Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing Agricultural Lending, NESL.
It is based on rules, on market and technology.
First, we speak with the MD Green Acre Premium Agricultural Processing Company Limited, the host of the event and one of NESL's partners, on the philosophy driving the Oshiomhole Industrial Park.
Altogether, it's 3,700 acres. We started from scratch, starting with the infrastructure, the marine facility that you can see, and the road network. And now our power plant is under construction took a while to put everything together, but the power plant is under construction. And that's, the final key, because with that, we can host industries.
The Farm Smart project is a technology-driven agribusiness initiative midwifed by Nestle that will empower smallholding farmers, geo-cooperatives to become gainfully engaged.
Now, for example, if we open up 1,000 hectares and we parcel it into per hectare, and we allocate each individual young person, this is your hectare. But you don't have to do anything in terms of bending down and using horn and cutlass. A tractor will start working from one end of that 1,000 hectares all the way to the other end. It will clear the land, it will plow the land, it will plant the land, it will harvest the land. Nominally, you are the owner, you are the manager, but the maximum profit comes to you.
Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State arrives, commissions the project, and indicates the willingness of his government to be a key player in the project.
When I campaigned to be governor, one of the things I sold was that I was going to create a minimum of 200,000 jobs in my first term in office. And I had no doubts in my mind that those jobs are not going to come from government house, but they're going to come from projects in agriculture, in services, in industry. And so it's like you're making my dream happen today.
Job creation and investor-friendly initiatives are critical to economic development. Therefore, it is expected that government at all levels should key into the Farm Smart venture.
Let's take a look at business news now. Here's Kayode Okikiolu.
You first. First Bank.
Many thanks, Ijoma, and a warm welcome to Business News. Ease of doing business and the availability of human and natural resources are major factors needed to attract foreign investors into the country. Now, that's according to the Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, Mrs. Yewande Shadiku. She made this known today on our program, Business Incorporated.
The easier it is to do business in the state and the more available resources, human and natural are, the more likely it is, that investors will go to that state. They also look at the prospects, for their business in the locations that they're going to. Investor interest in Nigeria remains strong, and we're delighted to see that. But for me, the report also sounds a note of caution. Because they relate to investment announcements, they demonstrate what is possible. It is now the responsibility of agencies like NIPC and all arms of government to help translate these announcements to actual investment. So they demonstrate the potential for the translation of Nigeria's prospects, to real investments, to real wealth, to real economic value.
The Ministry of Transport, in collaboration with the Nigerian Ports Authority, has signed, or rather decided, to link the ongoing narrow and standard gauge rail project in Lagos to the various terminals in Apapa Seaport. Although the final decision depends on the outcome of the presentation of the Federal Executive Council, the Minister of Transport, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, explains that the aim is to ease cargo evacuation.
That can disrupt port services. The port service will be on. There are areas where they need to walk. They will be able to transfer some of those people who are there. What's important is that we must get the rail into the port to ease the congestion that we're having currently. Now, you heard us tell the engineers that they must come and do first and foremost a study. After the study, can we make a decision on that? So we wait for the engineers. They said we should give them 2 weeks to a month, a month or two to do their study. When the study comes back, then we'll know what to do.
Well, let's take some news from the stock market. Friday's trading session at the Nigerian Stock Exchange closes the week with an upswing, and this is coming after losses dominated a better part of activities this week. Chimezi Obiwagu tells us more.
Thank you for joining us on Stock Market Report.
After 3 sessions of negative trading this week at the equities market, the bulls made a comeback today, pushing the all-share index back into the green, up 0.61%. The banking sector was the major driver, as evident on the sectoral performance chart. The sector led the gainers by 3.75%, thanks to GT Bank and Zenith, which regained the previous losses. The insurance sector was also looking up, supported by Axamansard, which added 17 kobo to its share price. Amongst the losers is the industrial sector, and that's because of 1 naira 50 kobo loss by Dangote Cement. Our traders say the market would have performed better than this if the cement giant did not shed 0.73% of its share price. Total volume traded today was just a little over 164 million shares, with the value still hovering around 2 billion naira band. Interestingly, GT Bank contributed heavily to that value, churning out over 1 billion naira. As the week wraps up, all eyes are on the CBN's Monetary Policy Committee as they prepare to have their final rate decision meeting for the year. And that is expected to be a major factor that will drive investor sentiment next week. And that was the stock market report. I'm Chimezie Obi Iwagu. Back to you, Kayode.
Thank you, Chimezie. On the global scene, it's a fairly mixed performance for the week for most of the world's leading stock markets. Well, let's take a look at some of the closing figures for Friday. And that's business news for tonight. Thank you for watching. I am Kayode Okikiolu. The news at 10 continues with Ijeoma.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Super Eagles technical advisor Gernot Rohr says the weather is no problem in tomorrow's AFCON qualifying match against South Africa. That's on sports. Just stay with us.